Ladies and gentlemen, I just finished watching From Season 2, and okay, I just have to say this. Online, before I started watching this show, I got warned about Season 2. Not that it was like a terrible season or anything like that, but a lot of the sentiment online from what I saw was that Season 2 was like the weakest of the 3 seasons. And now I have to say, I have officially become obsessed with this show, quite literally. Today, I was on episode 9 of season 2, and I'm already on season 3, episode 6. That's how obsessed I am with it, and I worked a full-time job today. I don't even know how I fit all that in my schedule. All that is to say is now that I'm midway through season 3 and have already seen season 2, I am not understanding where that sentiment came from that this was a bad season. Season 2 was phenomenal. It was better in a lot of aspects. It was better than season 1. I think they amped up a lot of the action in there. And again, I've never really been someone who's like an action freak or anything like that, but they really turned a grounded story that had, obviously it had its drama, obviously it had its scary elements and blah, blah, blah in season 1, but it really amped that up in season 2. And I loved what they did. I loved how they enhanced all the characters. I loved all of it. I didn't really have time to prep a full video, so a lot of it's on my phone. So I wanted to run through a lot of my talking points here. I already said, I'm not understanding why there was some sentiment on Twitter and even between my community here of people saying it was like a slow or weak season. Maybe it's because people watched it episode by episode. I could see that because the runtime with these, I have to say with it, the runtime is pretty short when you factor in those long previously on From or whatever it is. I don't know about you, but is it me or are those recaps like annoyingly long? That is like my only complaint with the show at this point. I actually really, so far, don't have any complaints about season 2 to talk about. I didn't think it was slow. I didn't think it was bad in any way, shape, or form. If anything, it got me obsessed with this show, like on a whole different level. And I that's what I want to talk about, and that's what I mainly want to focus on my season 2 review. This show is one of the best shows I've ever seen. That may be crazy. I get it. But it is, I'm obsessed with this show. Like, it's a real problem. I'm not kidding. This has been something that I feel like I needed. I needed a show like this that could just really captivate me. Now, technically speaking, from like a technical level, from like a cinematography, acting, all of those levels, would I say it's the best in those elements? Probably not, but from a creativity and story writing perspective, I don't see any flaws with this story. I think it's really good. I guess the only flaws is like what happens when they go home, but they already kind of answered that if you get to season 3. Not that that's like a major spoiler of anything to come realistically, but like those questions start to slowly become answered. I'll save like my spoilers part of that for the season 3 review, which you could probably expect by next weekend because this is, I'm going fast here, guys. Man, okay, so I already mentioned the beginning parts here. One thing I want to talk about is Tabitha as a character. I didn't really love any of the characters from Tabitha's family in season 1, but in season 2, I loved all of them. Honest to God, except for Jim. Jim is not a character I enjoy. I still don't. I'm midway through season 3. I don't like him at all. If he left the show, I don't think I'd like care. You know what I mean? Like he's the only character in that family that I don't have any interest in whatsoever, period. I'm just being honest with you guys. But Tabitha is a phenomenal character. The daughter, Julie, is a phenomenal character, and so is the son. They're all great characters. Yeah, the son's acting is child actor. It's not like the world's best or whatever, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, when it comes to production, blah, 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 like, some of the acting isn't the best, and it's not just him, and I don't mean that in a bad way at all, but, like, he's a kid actor, you know, it's one of those things, but the point I'm making is his character's great, despite acting or whatever, so is all the other characters. That's kind of the point I'm making in this video. all the characters are really strong, except for Jim's not my favorite out of all of them. One who really, really stuck with me, at least in this season, was Jade. I really liked him to begin with in season 1 because I could tell he was kind of starting to have a redemption arc. A lot of his personality traits are the same in this season, but I do really like him on screen. He's a character that I've thoroughly enjoyed every bit of. I've also obviously really enjoyed Sarah this season. I think she's gone on an incredible journey. And I gotta say, as of recording this video, I'm so fixated on season 3, which is even better than season 2, in my opinion, so far, that I'm starting to black out of what I just watched these last 3 days of, because I pretty much watched season 2 in a span of like 3 days. Thank God I have some notes, because it's gonna go a long way. I really do also like Victor. I think this season, you really got to see a lot more with him. I liked his interactions with Jade, and even though they obviously weren't the most compatible, and they had their own series of issues, I like how they kind of came together, and I like the story we got with Victor, where we start to learn more about his past here in the town, and his mom and his sister that were here as well, which it's really interesting to see how that comes together, and it's really interesting to see him break down when Jade starts to play the violin for him later in the show, in the season. Man, I just like, there's so much here. The dynamic between Boyd and Sarah and Kenny this season was an awesome focus. It really was cool to see because obviously, you know, Sarah is portrayed in the town as this really bad person. Understandably so. I mean, she tried to kill people. She killed Kenny's dad. Like, all of those things are true. But whenever anyone gets to meet her and talk to her and understand the perspective of what she was going through, it makes perfect sense. I actually think she's one of the best characters. She really is. But in general, I like that there's that dynamic where everyone's pissed at her, but they're slowly starting to come to terms with her because they realize the town is taking over. They realize she's like the most evil person. Sure, I get that. But it's really interesting to see how that all comes together in this season. There's just so much here, whether it was Boyd getting infected with the guy's thing, and then the sequence of Boyd then taking and killing the one guy, the one monster guy, and he uses like the blood to transfer the blood. That was an insane sequence. To anyone who says it's dry, I'm like, bro, that is no, like, this is not a stale season. It's so good. Like, that was amazing stuff. Then him and them bringing in the thing to do an autopsy on that was really cool. I didn't even get to mention the fact that, and by the way, if you guys couldn't tell, this is all just raw. Like I said, I didn't really plan much out here. I'm just speaking from the heart. But then the fact I didn't even mention the bus. The bus was sick. Donna in the first episode with the shotgun and everything, that was badass. And I fucking love Donna. That's kind of the point I'm making. There isn't one bad character this season. There really isn't. They're all so stand out. Like, they all stand out. The only one that doesn't, like I mentioned to me, is Jim. I don't really care for Jim that much, but I like all of them. I like the addition of all of the characters this season. There really just isn't that much bad. I like that we're seeing these new elements to the story too, where we're seeing these monsters truly mess with these characters and drive them to do things that were just unfathomable. And each episode, there's something new that I'm like, damn, like, what is this? More comes to that in season 3, and I'm recording this is why I didn't want to do this. This is how you know I'm obsessed with this show. What I really wanted to do was watch season 2 in its entirety, stop, and record this video. I just couldn't, though. I couldn't. And thank God I'm able to binge it, because I don't know what I'm going to do when season 4 comes out. I understand that probably when you're watching episode by episode, it is slower. It makes sense because the episodes just all fit so well together. They work so well when you have time to watch it all. But if you watch week by week, I could quite frankly see how that's insufferable. But if you guys only watched week by week and never went back to watch, I highly recommend you binge this show. Or if you've never seen it and you're just watching this because you like my reviews or whatever, which if you do, be sure to get subscribed. But if that's you, go stop watching this and go watch the show. It really is that good. I'm like, oh man, I just wish more people would catch on to this show. I hope by me making these videos and by me just talking about it in general, I hope it spreads the word to at least a few people who've never seen it. I know it just got renewed for season 4, but I swear to God, we need an answer and a finale to this show at some point in time. I don't want this show to get canceled because the story is really that strong. It's really good. I love the characters. I'm loving everything. Like I said, the bus people. I didn't even talk about the fact that Christy, I think that's her name, her freaking fiance came back, which was an awesome storyline, and I like where that goes in the season and things that happen with that. I like the drama that caused. I liked, to some extent, how that interacted with Kenny, even though I think there's a little bit of wasted potential there with what they could have done with that, but not too much. Like, really, I love that she came back. I love that that's now a mystery because it's like, well, is the town fucking with her that brought her there too? Like, that's what this show does best. Each episode, each thing they do, it adds this new level of curiosity and this obsession from a story perspective for the fans, for people watching. Man, this show is just so good. I'm sorry, I probably sound like a broken record, but there's not much else I could say. I apologize if I didn't talk about all the nitty-gritty details. This is just a reaction to how I'm feeling about the show. I'm amped up. The ending was insane with Tabitha falling out of the lighthouse and then her waking up outside of the town in a hospital. Like, again, I wish I didn't go forward and watch the rest to see where this goes because I would have loved to have reacted to this live for the video, but my God, just putting myself back in the shoes of watching that episode, that was absolutely insane, and there was no way on planet Earth I couldn't not watch the other episode, like at season 3, episode 1, after seeing that. I feel bad for people who had to wait, and from what I've heard, season 3's episode 10 is a crazy episode with stuff that happens. So I'm wondering if it's going to be like that for me too, where I'm like on the edge of my seat for another year or however long until season 4 comes out. My God, I love it. I didn't think I would like a show this much so far. Like, you guys know how I am. You know how I've been critical of stuff, and this is proof for you guys. Not always negative here. I'm obsessed with this freaking show. I'm obsessed with it. It's very good. Sorry, I'm going off on a positive rant, I guess you could say. But I'm just being honest. If you're watching this, like I said, and you haven't seen the show so far, stop what you're doing and go watch it. It really, really is that good. With all that out of the way, let me know your thoughts on season 2. Be sure to follow me on X for more and subscribe if you haven't already. It is literally free. It costs you nothing, but it helps me out a ton, so I'd really appreciate it. And with all of that out of the way, thank you again so much for watching this video. And until the next one, I will be back for season 3. And until then, I'll talk to you later. Peace out.